Okay, so we are going to demonstrate how to mix the 9 values of gray that students use for my class here at UTRGV. And so we'll mix, first we'll mix the darkest value here, which is a mixture of ivory black and raw umber. So we'll mix that first and then start adding more and more white until we have all the 9 values. And if we have time, we'll also do all the reds and all the yellows. And this is the palette that students use for pretty much all my classes. It's a really useful way of mixing your paints, and I think it just saves a lot of time when you're actually, painting. You don't spend so much time mixing when you're painting. So you do this right, before you start painting. So to do the first one, we're gonna mix twice as much ivory black as raw umber. So this is the ivory black, and then I will add the raw umber here. So the measurements, they're approximate. They're not precise, but it should give me some good results. The reason I add raw umber is to keep all these values, neutral. And I feel that the ivory black is a little too cool, so with the raw umber, it just kind of warms it up a little bit. So we'll mix these two first. It's always good to have 2 palette knives. It just makes it a lot easier to mix. Okay, so that's the value 9. Value 9 is the darkest. Okay, so I'll take most of it and put on one end of the palette here. We might have to mix more of it later on if we run out. Okay, so from this one, I will mix the number 8 value, which is right next to 9. It's still pretty dark. So onto this, we'll add some white, a little bit of a titanium white. So there's a lot of trial and error that goes into this. It might come out too light, but if it's too light, then we'll just add more black, or more of that 9 mixture. So what you want with this values of gray is that each one looks different from the next. Okay, this could use a little bit more white. It still looks a little too dark. I'm going to put all this white that I originally took out. And so you see how it is really easy to mix with 2 palette knives. Okay, so that's number 8. And then I'll take a little bit more of the black, the darkest mixture. this will be number 7. Maybe a little bit more white here. I always tend to make my values too dark, so this time I'm going to try to make them a little lighter. I think that'll work for the 7. Now, take more of that dark value, and we'll just add more white. You can get closer. So this might be a little too light. So what I recommend when you have a big pile of paint like this, and you want to change it, either to make it lighter or darker, don't put more paint into it, because then you have a bigger pile of paint that it doesn't look right. So what I recommend you do is maybe just, take half of this, because I've seen it happen, like students try to change the color and they end up with this huge pile of value or color that doesn't look right. So I'm just going to take about half of that. I'll just move it over here for right now. And I'll add just a little bit more black. And so this, also look at the way I'm arranging it on the palette. I'm mixing here in the center, and I'm putting it right on the edge of the palette. That way when we're ready to paint, we can just clean all this and you have all this area for mixing. So they're looking pretty good. That is 6. So we'll take this one here, a little more white, and a little bit more white. So it's like equal amounts of that gray with this white. That should give me value 5, which is the mid value. And yeah, this palette, like you guys, if we're doing portraits, this works really well for faces, because it's all just like really subtle browns. There's really no strong reds, so it'll work really well for this project. I think that's a good 5 there. I'll just take a little bit here. Now I'll make 4. So yes, the original, when you guys mix it, it's Romber and Ivory Black, and it's just twice as much Ivory Black as Romber. So this. This can be a good 4. See, there's a good contrast, I think, between all of them. So on the 4, to make the 3, I'll just put more white. much time do we have? Can you tell? We have 18 left. Okay, so that's 9, 8, 7, 6, 5, 4, 3. So take some of this. Make the next lighter one. So that's 1, 9, 8, 7, 6, 5, 4, 3, 2. So and then you just need white then, because white will be the lightest. So it's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9. So those are the 9 values that you need to do a grisaille, monochromatic painting in gray. So okay, so those are those, and then now mix all the reds. But let me clean here a little bit. Just take some paint thinner. I recommend you use a wood palette if you can get one like this, especially this size, because it gives you a good amount of area for mixing. Now this one, it's not been sealed, it's just the raw wood, so it really absorbed all the paint, so that's why it's kind of hard to wipe it. But if you buy a new one, put a little bit of linseed, so it gets saturated with oil. I think that took out most of the gray there. So the next one will be, this dark red, which actually starts not under the 9 but under the 8 value. This will always be the darkest for all these mixtures. So to mix this one, you take equal amounts of burnt umber, burnt umber, and a alizarin crimson. When you first start doing this, you might think it takes too long. But it pays off, and I actually enjoy mixing. So it's about equal amounts there, right? So you mix them together. So that's the dark red. And see, to see if you have the right value, you can place it on top of the corresponding gray value. And see, you put it there, it matches, but if you put it on top of this one, you see that the red is darker than the gray. So it corresponds better with that one. So that this will go, right under here. Now the rest of this mixture of glycerin and burnt umber, I will mix with equal amounts of Venetian red. You can use Venetian red or you can use English red. Venetian red is this like rusty, really reddish brown. And like I said, this works really well for portraits, but there's another palette that I mix where you add cadmium, so you get a wider range of color or of hue, and like stronger hues. And Venetian red it's pretty strong. Pretty strong color. I'm going to take some of it over here. And I think it needs a little bit more burnt umber and a glycerin crimson. I think this is better now. That one goes here. You see, if you use two palette knives, it just makes mixing and moving the paint so much easier. And then you just have one. Okay, so that one. So that's value 8 for the reds, value 7. Value 6 is just the Venetian red by itself. So that's no problem to mix that one, right? And then the rest ones, you just mix that with more and more white. So let me just wipe here a little bit. So on this, try and put equal amounts of it. How many?
10 minutes.
Okay. Goes there. And more white. So that's and then 2 needs a lot more white. To break, we're running out of time. Now the yellow should go by a lot faster because there's a lot less mixing. Okay, now how many more minutes do we have? How many?
8.
8? Okay. We don't have enough time. Now for the yellows, for the yellow values here, you start out with Romber. It's really easy to mix, you just put it on there. Then the next one is Romber. Equal amounts of Romber and yellow ochre. Actually, it needs more Romber. That one goes there. And then this one. Then it is yellow ochre with some of this here. I'm just going to take some of this to make it look darker faster. Then the next one is just the yellow ochre by itself. And the last two, it's just yellow ochre with white. Then I'll take about half of that. How much time?
4.
Okay, got enough time. And there you go. So those are all the values that you need pretty much for this class. So like you guys, if you haven't had my class before, you can take a picture of all these colors here. And they're pretty inexpensive because they're all mostly earth colors. So I'll just put them here. White, yellow ochre, Venetian, burn umber, Romber, ivory black, You don't need this big tube of glycerin crimson, but you need a glycerin crimson. Oh no, this is Van Dyke brown, not that one. Brown. And that's it, really. Yeah, just 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. And of course you need the wooden palette. See how long did that take to fix?